Hello, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying Trinity Regathering Podcast. Today we have Denise. She is our new deacon. She started right in the middle of the pandemic, and so many of you had not had an opportunity to meet with her. She has been participating in the 8 and 8, so you may have met with her there. And she's also been heavily involved with many of the outreach and specifically the fill a truck stuff with Marta. So you may have met her there. So she may look familiar after all. So Deacon Denise joined us last year, as I mentioned, and we're really looking forward to when things open up really a lot more, being able to work with her and get really into the community. Deacons, their job description really is to connect the church with the community. And so she's working really hard to get to know our community first so that she can figure out the best ways for our community to outreach to our surrounding community. So I hope you enjoy our conversation, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Denise. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. So before we get started, can you go ahead and give me a little bit of your background? That would be great.
Okay, well, I was baptized and confirmed in the Roman Catholic Church. I grew up in Hartford, in the west end of Hartford, and found that to be a very unusual experience as a kid. We kind of just, used to hang out on Sisson Avenue and Farmington Avenue as a group of kids getting together in the pizza shop. So it's a fond memory of 7th and 8th grade. But anyways, I graduated from UConn with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in graphic design. And I also got a graduate degree in environmental management. It was actually a correspondence course, a pre-online degree programs. So it wasn't as expensive as well. I can do it on my own time. And I found that to be real useful when you're working a full-time job as well. I worked for the U.S. Postal Service in marketing for 18 years, and then as a realtor for Prudential Realty and American Dreams Realty for 5 years. I also enjoyed working as a realtor a lot. I not so much the sales side necessarily, but the contract side.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, which kind of got me inspired to become a paralegal in environmental management and realty. So unfortunately, I didn't pursue that. Instead, I went the way of the diaconate. And so before I was ordained, I was received into the Episcopal Church. In 1990, Rich and I went to St. John's in East Windsor. And that has been being received into this new community of faith. The Episcopal Church has really been a blessing for both of us because it's deepened our desire to, for more understanding of our faith and getting more involved with the church ministries. And so we did the usual lay readers, ushers, getting involved with the Eucharistic visits. And Rich went on to be a treasurer at St. John's and has been for the past several years. And I went into the deacon formation program with the diocese. So that was a 4-year program. And my first assignment was with St. John's in Pine Meadow, a village of New Hartford, for 3.5 years. The first 6 months was an internship program as part of our deacon formation. Then my second assignment was with Grace Church in Windsor for 2 3-year terms under the leadership and mentorship of Father Chip Elliott, which has been very transformative for me as a deacon. And he was also a deacon for a few years before he became an ordained priest.
Oh, very good. So similar
so,
backgrounds.
Yeah, so now God has graciously called me to be here with you guys at Trinity.
Awesome. That's great. And so obviously that's what brought you to Trinity, but you've been here before.
Yeah, well, I know a few people from Tapestry. When Jana Pavacik was the director of Tapestry, I had been taking voice lessons with her, and she invited me into that group. And so that was back in 1999, 1998.
Yeah.
And there was, yeah. Also joined a prayer group with her and Judy Guessford.
So you were telling me about a recent God sighting, and I'd love to share that, or if you'd love to share that.
Sure. Well, sometimes I like to call them God winks. And yes, it was just a small thing, but I went to visit my mother at her grave site on Easter Sunday. And when my husband and I got there, we saw that the base, the bronze base that came with her gravestone, had been taken, which left an empty hole in her gravestone. So I just filled it with the bouquet of flowers that I had brought. And so when I called the office to report it about a week later, the woman who I was speaking with said that she just happened to have a few of these vases left over and she didn't have any use for them. So I was pretty happy about that. And she also told me that a lot of these vases are stolen and sold for the bronze, and that it's actually big business, it's apparently.
Wow.
So when we went back the following week to check on it, we came across this lady in the cemetery on the side of the road picking up these huge palm crosses, Easter palm crosses.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped and asked her about them. She said that every year the attendants remove them from the grave sites and line them up neatly on the lawn in front of the cemetery office for people to come and take. Usually the owners who put them out, out at their loved ones' grave sites. And there had to have been at least 50 of them all neatly lined up in a row. So she said that most of the time they get thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
And invited us to take as many as we wanted. So I was so excited about that. I took 3, and 2 we put at the memorial gardens at my home church.
Mm-hmm.
We have a veterans memorial garden, and one of them I saved for my mother's grave for next year. So God winked at that moment.
Oh, that's a great story. I love that. And so you kind of touched on this a little bit already, but what do you actually do for work?
Well, I'm actually retired from the Postal Service and from Realty. I was a marketing, promotions, and retail specialist for the post office, and obviously a realtor for American Dreams and Prudential. But my work for Christ is ongoing. So I work as a professional volunteer for the diocese as an ordained deacon.
Oh, that's
And now
awesome.
for you at Trinity.
I love that.
But as they say, the pay isn't great, but the benefits are out of this world. I saw that on a magnet years ago, and little did I realize back then how much meaning it would hold for me in my vocation as a deacon 20 years later.
That is funny. That is awesome. We'll have to find one of those magnets and get it back to you. So beside work, what kind of hobbies or passion projects do you have? What fills you up?
Well, I enjoy the arts and doing crafts like making prayer beads and beaded jewelry. Um, a personal passion and ministry of mine is singing with the New England Chamber Choir. I've been doing that for, the past 10 years. We're a group of 60 members. We usually do about 6 concerts a year for Christmas and Easter and spring. And unfortunately, that had stopped over the past year. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that. I'm also passionate about making origami peace cranes for 1,000 Cranes for Cancer, which is a nonprofit organization that gives strings of peace cranes to cancer patients.
That's cool.
Traditionally, it's believed that if 1,000 cranes are folded, a wish will be granted, such as recovery from an illness or long life. And so it's become popular to fold 1,000 cranes for people who have been diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
And the cranes are strung together, usually in strings of 50, and given as gifts of hope and healing. Would you like to see?
I would love to. That would be cool.
Well, I have one string hanging up over here. And I'll bring a little closer.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if you can see them very well here. Let me try to get out of the way.
Very cool. Love all the colors.
And then here's just
little singleton.
See if I can get this to show here.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Oh, I love it. Great paper too.
So I try to look for patterns that give it a little more creative flair.
Yeah. Gotta have that color.
Excuse me, I just managed to knock something over. Excuse the noise.
No problem. No problem. I love the colors and all that. It's definitely bright and cheerful. Just what you need when you've got cancer stuff going on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So one of the parishioners at Grace had introduced me to making those cranes, and it's become actually therapeutic at times to sit there and just fold a few at a time. He makes, I don't know how he does it, but he makes like 800 cranes every couple of months. And so I just add my 50 to his and send them off.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I've been doing that for a few years now.
Yeah, that must take a little while.
Yeah, once you get the hang of it, it only takes a few minutes, but being the perfectionist that I am, I have to make sure all the
creases,
the creases line up. And so anyway.
That sounds like something I would do. I can't handle it if it's not perfect.
Starting to relax that a little bit since COVID, but
only a little. Is there anything else? I don't want to cut you off before.
Um, well, I've partnered with Food Share in Bloomfield to open up a full pantry at Grace and be an advocate for ending hunger with them in the past, and also coordinating and organizing workshops for child trafficking awareness
Hmm.
in the local communities and around the state. Um, People just aren't aware of what, how much of a crisis it really is in
Hmm.
our own communities and what's going on under our own noses. So that's something that I'd like to make possible at Trinity if there's enough interest among the congregation
Yeah,
going
that would be
down the road.
yeah, that would be very good. That would be very interesting for sure. What kind of things do you do to help maintain your mental and physical health?
Well, I do some moderate exercise and like walk aerobics and resistance exercises using the resistance bands
I like those.
and keeping social connections with my friends and family, preferably in person, but on Zoom and FaceTime and Facebook and, all those are factors that have helped me maintain my mental and physical health, but most importantly, my relationship with God and my husband.
Yeah, very important.
Lots of prayers.
Mm. Yeah, especially at this last couple of months, we'll say. Is there anything that you would like to be better at?
That's a loaded question. Where do I begin?
Remember, you do to put this online, so.
Well, let's just say becoming more creative in my ministry. I think being more articulate in my thoughts and prayers and conversations, becoming perhaps a storyteller. Uh, Everybody likes a story, right?
Yeah.
It's how you deliver it that makes the most impact. And so, of course, could also maybe learn a little German. Being a member of the New England Chamber Choir, we mostly sing in German and Latin with a few English anthems thrown in there, but it would help to be able to speak it a little. I understand what I'm singing about, though. We have the translations.
Yeah.
And our conductor is always saying, you got to memorize these these words.
Yeah.
And we have enough trouble just learning and the music.
That reminds me, we do have a family in our church whose kids had gone to German school to get you connected. She might have an in for you. It's always interesting to learn a new language. Do you have any favorite spiritual disciplines that you'd like to share?
Well, sure. I like to spend time in quiet prayer and meditation every morning, usually first thing in the morning between like 7:30 and 8:30. I have a little corner of my house that I have a table set up, more like a coffee table set up with 3 candles and small icon and my Bible and my coffee cup, of course.
Of course.
And and so I just find also that journaling my favorite Bible verses has been transformative for me. I started doing that when in deacon formation, and on and off I've continued it. But the verse that I found most helpful for me is a verse from Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, which is whatever is true and honorable, whatever is pure and pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there's anything of excellence or anything worthy of praise, think on these things. It's helped me to stay positive. Whereas whenever I used to say the word whatever, it wasn't always such a positive.
Yes, my mom used to make my brother say that verse whenever he said whatever. She'd be
We
like,
all have a little cynicism in us.
yes. I know that I'm pretty sure he still has it memorized too.
And there's different variations of it, but adding more whatevers in each word before each word.
So has anything really changed for you in the past years, or anything that you're grateful for?
Sure. I think that this past year has been a change for the better in me in some ways, and then in other ways, not so much. I've slowed down quite a bit. Most of the social activities and ministries that I've been involved with have come to a complete stop, or either temporarily or permanently, as is the case with a lot of people, I'm sure. But as a result, my motivation seems to have taken a bit of a hit. So I need to push myself to get myself back out there again. I've come to enjoy staying home in my leisure time with my husband quite a lot. So I'm also not in so much of a rush anymore, always racing around to get someplace and be on time for this meeting or that meeting.
Yeah.
So I do the speed limit more now. I guess that's good.
I definitely don't.
But I think I find that the warmer weather and meeting new people and a renewed purpose for God's mission in outreach ministries with Trinity has re-energized me. So
that's good.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, there's lots of new opportunities that are coming out of this. Do you have a formative faith story that guides you? Anything you care to share?
Sure. One of the things that I've appreciated growing up was my mother's gift of a solid foundation in believing in God and in my faith. I didn't realize it until I was a lot older, just what a gift that was. Her making me go to church every Sunday, making me go to Sunday school, and praying with me at bedtime. But I think it wasn't until a junior high school friend of mine invited me into her church, which was a Protestant church, that I really began to feel more of a trust in that God would be there for me and answer my prayer. And so that really even became more certain for me as an adult when I was introduced to healing prayer and laying on of hands. My husband was diagnosed with an aggressive prostate cancer about 11 years or so ago now. And somehow I just knew that Jesus would heal him. As much as we feared what that cancer diagnosis meant, I just really, I I felt confident in God's healing. And he did. He blessed us. He blessed Rich with a recovery. He's been in for, like I said, 11 years now. Uh, he's doing well. And so now I feel like every time I'm overwhelmed with difficulties or problems, and I ask for his help, Jesus will somehow show me a way to deal with them and bring me some relief. And it's just good to know that that I can count on him. You know? I mean, sometimes we're in the midst of troubles and it feels like they're never going to end. They're going to just go on forever. And they really are temporary. Really, everything is temporary, but it's good to know that God's love is eternal and his guidance is there just for the asking. And, you know, my grandmother used to tell me, this too shall pass. And it's so true. It may pass like a kidney stone, but it'll pass.
I was just thinking that sometimes when you're in the midst of it and it feels so huge, but one of the, I don't know, it was like a Carrie Underwood song or something about making mountains out of molehills. And so I always ask myself, am I making a mountain out of this?
Right? It's so true.
Am I making this into a bigger deal than it really is? Sometimes it does pass like a kidney stone, but you step back and it's really just a very tiny one.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, that's it for my questions. Thanks so much for meeting with me, Denise.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I hope you enjoyed this conversation between me and Denise. If you would like to participate in the Trinity Regathering Podcast, it's hard to say, please reach out to me. My email again is mandalavallee@gmail.com, or you can contact the office at 860-651-0201. Remember that this is for Trinity members, so anyone who has been joining us on Zoom or on Facebook is considered a Trinity member. And so you are welcome to participate. Remember to check out the Trinity website and the Facebook pages on Tuesdays for more Trinity Regathering podcasts. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.